Yeah.
Oh, I get it.
Yeah.
Nice.
Thanks.
Nice.
That's all I'm asking.
That was
for.
really fucking nice, man.
Fuck yeah. Welcome, residents, to the Dr. DC podcast. My name is producer Richard, and across from me is the doctor himself.
Nice.
Oh.
We're going to fuck up some rice.
Stop. I haven't,
Burnt rice.
I haven't sung that in my head.
Ruined
too long.
rice.
Oh, my God.
Man.
You fully have ruined that song. Cuff It by Beyonce is fully ruined for me now.
Listen. I had to drag someone in with me. Because,
Like, have you listened to that song since?
yeah.
Yeah, it's all.
Oh,
you
sorry.
think
I
about.
only listened to the rice parody.
Oh, I meant the actual.
Nah, that's all right.
You're like, I didn't even know that was a cover.
It's a song?
Yeah.
No, I heard that on the Headgum podcast, and I just have to drag someone into the muck with me.
Jesus. Oh, the muck. Oh.
Into the mucksome barn.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Oh, pitter patter. Real Snipe Sally, boys.
I'm a hockey guy now. So
I mean, you've watched 4 games in the last 6 days.
You should have heard me last night.
I mean, I'm sure you were trying very hard.
Oh, I was getting so mad.
Oh, I believe that.
Yeah. Fucking couldn't pass worth shit.
Well, yeah, I mean.
Every fucking pass was like, whoa! Like,
These, yeah, I mean, what is there to even say?
it was frustrating.
Both the Oilers and the Leafs
Are out.
haven't been as good as they are this
Right
year.
now.
Right now.
Yeah.
Both of them went out like fucking punks. Sorry, I shouldn't say that. I'm only saying that about the Leafs because they dropped 3 fucking games at the start of the series.
They kind of got
But
fucked.
they played so well in Game 5.
Yeah.
They also won the game, and then the goal was disallowed,
Yeah, that was bullshit.
which was crap. But they played well. You know, like they came back, they tied it up, they forced overtime. Real Bush League shit there. But
Yeah.
now I just have to move on. Next year is the year.
Sure,
The
buddy.
hard reset for all Leafs fans.
Yeah.
I saw a really funny meme online. It was like, you know, when they bring out the Stanley Cup and it's like the guys with the gloves on, they're bringing out a golf bag, like a Leafs colored golf bag instead of the Stanley Cup.
Did you see that TikTok I sent you where it was like, there's 2 rounds? Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
What do you mean there's a second round?
Yeah.
I thought this was a golf exhibition we were on.
Yeah, it's true.
It's very funny.
Fuck.
Each week we talk about the weird and wonderful world
yeah.
of DC while fielding questions from listeners like you.
Oh, yeah.
That's a award winning right there.
We win awards.
Yeah. Despite all of the coughs.
Hey, listen, we didn't win like least coughs.
Yeah, if that award was there, we wouldn't have won it.
Or I would release a respiratory virus, ensuring
We were
that
able.
we had the fewest coughs.
Yeah.
All podcasts
Yeah,
are
it's not
coughs.
no coughs award.
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't do that. Some people say Zoom did it.
Yeah, some people. Queer relationships is what we're talking about this week.
Baby.
Yeah. Not like the one on this podcast.
I mean, it's not. It's not.
It's what I'm saying.
You and I aren't.
It's a little odd.
We're not. We're.
I mean,
we could, if you were into it. That's obviously a joke, unless you feel good about it.
yeah. Based on the betrayal that I've received from you.
Oh yeah. I betrayed you.
Yeah.
Why don't you go cry to fucking Brian? You think I've forgotten?
Oh yeah, you fucking don't forget about Nick.
Yeah. Nick is there for me.
Yeah. But he fucking.
It's like I told you, I can't have 2 fucking soft soy boys building a shed. I need one person that knows what they're doing. So my friend Nick will help me build a shed.
And I didn't argue with you.
Because I'm right. That was after a truly humiliating hardware store trip that I don't feel like getting into right now. But
Yeah, we didn't actually say what happened. Those guys suck, though. It was just Home Hardware, right?
Yes.
Yeah, that lumber yard.
It was just...
They're such dicks.
Yeah.
They're dicks.
Do you know what? I am going to get
into it. Get into it.
I'm replacing the roof on my shed. It's not that big, but I'm not like...
Handy.
I'm handy in that if I'm told what to do, I can operate like the equipment. I could use saws.
You're the world's smallest hammer, but sure.
I mean, but that's just for like hanging pictures and shit. But like, I can't look at a thing and go, I know how to build that.
Sure.
I need someone else to be like, we need this much of this material. Here's where we're like.
Yeah.
Like I don't have the brain for that.
Sure. Yeah.
I've got a friend who is a carpenter.
Oh, nice.
He's like a real good friend.
Yeah,
maybe the best friend I have. His
bitch.
name is Nick.
Hope he's happy nailing you.
I'll be happy nailing alongside him the way friends do.
Oh. Been there.
Have you?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Cool. Nice. So at any rate, I don't need much for this job.
Sure, yeah.
I need a sheet of plywood. I need a pack of asphalt shingles.
You've lost me.
I need roofing nails.
Sure.
It's not that hard.
Yeah.
I go down to Home Hardware to get these things. And the mistake I make is just trusting like my mind to like assume sizes. I know
I've been there.
And you know what? It's the thing that always happens. I know exactly how big the thing is, and I forget how small the thing I'm trying to put it into is. It's a perennial problem for me.
Oh no,
is that the thing I'm trying to jam in there's too big.
No, of course.
So I buy this sheet of plywood. I'm also like walking around like, where the fuck are the shingles? They're out in the lumber yard. So you have to like go to the desk, get them to put the thing,
and then
pay for them, and
go
outside, whatever. And then the nails, the roofing nails, they didn't come in like a bin. They're just like loose bulk nails.
What? Oh, because it's inside of the little circle
in that
things.
Circle thing. And I was like, well, shit, I didn't bring like a container.
It's just loose in your hand.
So I was like, I'll come back for the fucking nails. So now I'm just rolling up with one sheet of plywood, which is all I need for this project. But like, it's weird to roll up not with a bunch of lumber for a big project. It's just like one sheet of plywood and the thing that says I have to go around back for the shingles. I pay whatever. I go out to the car. I've completely emptied the car. Seats are down. I've done all the stuff. And I was right in that it does fit, but then because of like the topography inside the car, like with the wheel wells and shit, I just couldn't get the sheet of plywood. And I tried a few different ways. People in the parking lot are like, do you need help, sir? And I was like, no, my car's too small. They were.
Yeah, but don't you have things on the top? Couldn't you have just strapped it to the
don't.
top? Oh, you don't.
I have the things to have things, but I don't have a roof rack. I just have
there's
like
not bars even. Eh?
Well, there's the bars on the side, but I don't have like the crossbars.
Yeah, but you could. Oh, yeah, but you could use the bars on the side.
No, because there's nothing to loop them under. Like they go all the way down onto the roof.
Oh,
you have to like open a thing,
no hole.
attach the crossbars into it.
Oh, I see.
I don't have that because otherwise I would have just done that.
Yeah.
So I didn't have that. The thing's too long. I can't put it in the side. I can't do any of that. And these people in the parking lot are like, "Do you need it?" Like. Three different people, like old ladies, are like, "Do you need help?"
Oh
and
no!
I'm like, no, I just. And then I texted you, and then I was like, I can't. And then I was like, even if you responded right away, it would still be like. And I was like, I can't just stand in this fucking parking lot. So now I put the piece of plywood back on the cart, wheel it back inside, and go. I'd like to return this. My car is too small, and 4 different cashiers laugh at me.
Oh,
they're just like, you're returning this? Just put cars too small as the reason. They're like typing it in and shit.
Fuck the fucking
like,
lumber.
Fuck you.
I fucking hate them
They
so
call
much.
the lumber guy, like, lumber, please come to the. I was like, you don't need. It's just a return.
I fucking hate them.
And they're
so
like,
much.
could you bring this back? And he's like, only this. And they're like, yes, only this. And like, they're wheeling it back. I'm feeling like humiliated or whatever.
God.
And then I get the return. I go back out to the car, and I'm putting my kid's car seat just back because I had taken it out to make room.
Yeah,
I'm putting it back and strapping it, and I see like a small like a Tupperware like we would use for her lunch. It's clearly fallen out of her backpack. It's in the back. I was like, well, I guess I could go back in and get the nails then.
Oh no.
So now I go back in with like a child's Tupperware.
You're like, will the wood fit in this?
And I'm going and I'm walking to the hardware
How many woods can I get for this?
What can I get for this many? And I'm walking to the hardware section and I'm like, it's weird that I'm just walking in with this thing. So I'll like casually just be like, you know how it is, bring a container for the nails.
Oh my god.
Pass that up.
Oh
I'm walking by the thing and I just like kind of hold the container up. The guy behind the counter like looks at me weird. He's like, what? Do you need help? And I was like, oh, it's just
for the nails.
It's just for the nails. And he goes, there's bags.
Yeah.
And I was like,
Yes,
what? And I hadn't seen the dispenser thing. Like, so now he's like, he walks me over and like points to the bags and goes, here they are. And I go, oh, thank you.
Do you need me to call someone to take?
And then so then I'm going to get these roofing nails. I've got the right size and the right kind of nails. I don't see that there's like a shovel thing for them, so I'm just with my hand reaching in, grabbing nails and putting them in this bag, and like they're falling out the sides, and I'm like trying to clean up.
Oh my god!
Get a bunch of nails in this bag. So now I'm holding the bag of nails and just an empty Tupperware I brought along with me for emotional support. And I bring those back to the cash, the same cash I've been to twice already.
Oh my god!
And I walk up and they go like, and I put the thing down and they're ringing through. They're like, what's that? And I was like, I brought this. I was going to put those in it. I like have to explain myself again.
Lumber, you're gonna
this guy's a fucking idiot. Lumber. So I buy the nails on site just to prove that I had an idea. I open the Tupperware at the cash and pour the nails into it after they ring it through.
Why?
To prove a point. And then I close the Tupperware and I go and like wave it and I walk back out to the car. Now I have to go to the lumber yard to get my shingles. So keep in mind, I found the Tupperware thing before I put my kid's car seat back because the seats are down. My SUV's empty. And her car seat's just like loose in the front. And I drive over and I show them the thing and they go, shingles, that's down by the auto loader. And I just kind of stand there and they go like to the back. Like I'm the idiot. I don't fucking work here.
Well, yeah, what the fuck's an auto loader?
So then I start driving and they're like, we'll have to bring the forklift around or whatever. Because the guy just goes, shingles, just like yells it to his friend. And he goes, well, I'll get the forklift. And so I drive to the back and then there's like a place you could drive one way or the other. And I stop and then this forklift comes around and the guy goes, the back.
You're like, left or right though?
But he's like, everyone's treating me like an idiot. We go to the back. He pulls the forklift up and he goes, so how many? And I was like, 1 pack of shingles. He's like, I don't need a forklift for this.
You're like, I never said you did.
He's like, just come over here. He's like getting exhausted with me that I didn't make him think this. And so I open the trunk and my whole SUV is empty and he puts this one little pack of shingles in and he goes, you probably could have left the seats out. I go, I was trying to. It wasn't for the. You weren't there.
Could you imagine if it was the both of us?
And this is just so then I close the thing. I've got 1 pack of shingles in the back, a kid's Tupperware full of roofing nails, and I've had to tell my friend, I need you to get the plywood and I'll pay you for it.
I need a big strong man to come and help.
I need a big enough truck. And I drove home.
God.
Fuck the hardware store.
Oh, fully fuck the hardware store.
Listen, I get it. I'm a little bit of a soft boy.
Yeah, that's fine.
But like, all I need is just some direction.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Also, like, yeah, I was just like, fuck you guys. Like, I get I'm not like a builder.
Yes.
I'm not a cool guy.
But guess what? There's another store in town.
I'm not going to come in and talk miter saws.
Yes. There's another lumber store in town that's for builders. They go to there.
It's like, I just have a project. I just want to get this thing. Everyone's like, well, what kind of shingles? I was like, the asphalt kind. Like, how many packs do you need? I was like, I don't fucking know. 1.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, fuck them all. No, I've never had a good experience with them.
So I just felt like that was a very emasculating thing. But then you were like, oh, I hope Nick helps you with the shed. And I was like, listen, the morning I've had, we can't have 2 of us build a shed. It's not going to happen.
Could you imagine? I mean, at least it would explain to them why we didn't know what we were doing. They'd be like, "Wow, they're together."
Here's the thing, like I said, I don't do a ton of it. I'm slightly unfamiliar. Like, I know what things are. Like, if you said the name of a tool,
Sure,
like I'm not hopeless, but I also, like, I don't have the mind to just go, I need to do a thing. This is what it'll look like. Here's where, like, it'll support it. It's like, I can't do that shit.
I don't know.
Just tell me what to cut and what to nail and what order to do it in, and I'll do it.
Yeah.
I'm fine with that. I took technical theater. I got a fucking 94 in technical theater. I'm great at building shit.
Sure.
If you tell me what to build.
Sure.
And so I just like that whole fucking experience.
Yeah, no.
is
I've
like,
never had a
you
good...
don't just have like,
Can
you're
I-
not a master
can I
builder.
ask you-
It's like, well, fuck you guys.
Can I ask you, is it the guy with like the gray balding head?
No, it wasn't.
'Cause
Although that guy's a
fucking
piece of
prick.
shit too.
Yeah, he's a real prick.
Yeah.
Ugh, fuck that.
At
place.
any rate, that's my, like, it's like barely even a project.
Yes.
I'm taking a roof off, putting shingles on a roof, and putting a roof on.
Yeah.
Like, it barely counts as a project. And I was like, I just want to.
It's enough for Nick though. No.
Well, listen. I would do anything for Nick.
Anyways, queer relationships. We got some questions. Do you want to get into them? What?
I'm sorry. I'm coming down off the waves of anger about the hardware store. Yeah. It's still May. May. We're talking about queer relationships in DC this week.
That's right, baby.
So let's do it.
Let's go to Twitter.
Twitter.
First question comes from Truth, Justice, and Hope. It really riled you up, man. You are like, you're shook.
It was just so many things in a row.
Yeah, no. Fully get
And like
that.
some of them are my fault. Like I just didn't see the bags. Like,
Sure.
like I get it, but it's also like, fuck you guys,
I
man.
know.
Like,
Yeah.
it's by the auto loader.
Okay.
Like if you came into my office and I was,
It's next to the printer. I'd be like, where's the printer?
Exactly.
Yeah.
I'm right to stop and ask for questions, and I'll just blindly drive somewhere on
Yes.
this yard.
Yeah, not everybody is here all of the time.
It's like, fuck you guys.
Yeah, fuck this place. So, Truth, Justice, and Hope asks, could you discuss the relationship between Batwoman and Maggie Sawyer?
Yeah. So Batwoman, Kate Kane, was for a time in a relationship with Maggie Sawyer. Now, Maggie Sawyer is like a long-time police character
Oh,
in
really?
DC. She was the head of the Metropolis like special crimes unit, which is like kind of like they handle like the superpower cases
Sure.
and stuff like that. She was there for a very, very long time. She's currently the commissioner of Bloodhaven in Nightwing. She's over there. I think she might even be like from Star City or something like that. Like she's a no-nonsense cop. She worked with Detective Turpin, like Dan Turpin, for a long time. But yeah, she's a lesbian character. And so she and Kate Kane, Batwoman, they got together. I think it's in the New 52. They had crossed paths before that, but I think they really like... They might have like gone on a date or something pre-Flashpoint, but really when it becomes that they had a relationship is the New 52 era. And yeah, I mean during that time it's interesting because they were building in that series to them getting married. Like Batwoman like shares her secret identity like while proposing. There's a great like image. I might have even put it up for this episode of Batwoman saying like "marry me," and it's this very like artistic kind of thing. It's really cool. But that wedding didn't happen, and it didn't happen not for in-universe reasons.
What?
It was a sort of like the creators of that were working on Batwoman basically said editorial told us
what?
not to do it. To be, quote, fair, there was sort of in general a kind of like
Don't do any major changes?
no marriage, or like it was like there was kind of like an anti-wedding streak across most of DC with very few exceptions.
It's the worst Flash character. Anti-wedding streak.
Yeah. Well, that's when you're in a nice white dress, but you shit yourself.
That's an anti-wedding
That's an anti-wedding streak.
Yeah, absolutely. Been there.
Her dark side was looking for the anti-wedding streak.
Talk about a dark side.
Yeah. Apocalypse in my pants.
Apocalypse now.
I prayed to the new gods that it wouldn't happen. But yeah,
anti-wife equation.
Oh, there you go. Fuck. That's good.
Fuck yeah.
Hell yeah. No, I liked them as a relationship. They were interesting because they both kind of had like a sort of tough as nails kind of thing. Like Maggie Sawyer is a very like no nonsense cop. Yeah, she exactly. She had to be. She got blackmailed, like people like threatened to out her, all this kind of stuff. Like that's a recurring sort of story with some of these characters. Kate Kane comes from a military family and has like they both kind of have that sort of like structure sort of thing. I mean, when you look at, I think Kate also dated Renee Montoya, also a cop. Also, like there's definitely a type, No, I mean, I thought it was interesting. I wanted them to get married. I thought that was neat, but yeah, it didn't happen. But yeah, Maggie Sawyer was a character for decades before that. So it's not like she just was written in. It was actually like Kate Kane had only really shown up post Infinite Crisis. So what are we talking about? 2006 was sort of when this new Batwoman showed up, and we got this character. Maggie Sawyer had been in since, I don't know, like the 80s or something like that. Maybe even longer. But yeah, she had been part of the Metropolis Special Crimes Unit. I think she'd been the commissioner of Metropolis. And currently, she's commissioner in Bloodhaven. But she and Batwoman are not together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. Next question from our favorite religious representative.
Ooh, Chris Chan.
Who asks, can you name any other couple that have been subjected to such dog whistling as John Kent and Jay Nakamura?
Oh, man. I mean, probably, but a very fair point is like everyone, like all these conservative
so
people,
fucking triggered.
Also, I mean, not that it matters whether or not they were reading. It doesn't. But all these people that never read comics go, Superman's gay? How dare you?
The amount of fucking like Fox News things that there was about that shit.
I know. And fucking Dean, could I be a bigger piece of shit? Kane weighing in on it and all this.
It's like it's not even fucking Superman, you dumbasses.
Like it's like, so John Kent is, I believe, bisexual.
Yeah. So is this like the Superman, like the young Superman that ended up like aging up really quickly?
Yes, he was the Super Son from the Super Son series. Yeah. And then, he ended up aging up because Ultraman kept him in a volcano. And
yeah. Okay,
there was a time dilation thing, and he was on adventures with Jor-El and stuff like that. So, he briefly had a like. I mean, I hesitate to even call it a romance. I think it's like 3 glancing looks across issues with a Saturn girl from the Legion of Superheroes during the kind of Bendis era.
Sure.
But his current relationship from his past book and then his current book is this character called Jay Nakamura, who is from a country called Gamora, which is part of like the Wildstorm universe that got folded in.
Okay.
Henry Bendix is the despotic leader there. Jay was sort of like experimented on. So he has powers. He can phase through things. But Jay works for this kind of like online kind of, not I hesitate to call it a newspaper, but it's this online kind of thing called The Truth, right? Where they uncover these stories, they print the stuff they don't want you. It's kind of like kind of anonymous, but kind of a publication.
Sure.
So Jay works for The Truth. And in the course of, adventures regarding Gamora, John and Jay get closer, and then they start dating. They're together, which is great, and they're actually really cute. I love it. But yeah, I mean, God, Chris is right. The dog whistling around. How could you make Superman gay? He represents America. And it's like, first of all, how many times do we have to go over this? We've left the American way part of Superman behind.
Yes.
Action Comics 900. I mean, he formally renounced his American citizenship
Yeah.
in that.
Wow.
As Superman. People didn't know that he was Clark Kent.
Sure.
He was like, I'll still be American as Clark Kent.
Yeah.
I love paying for healthcare, but I don't fucking need it. I have a fortress.
Also not human.
Oh yeah. Anyway. But yeah, I mean, yeah, there were so many Fox News things, and all these people are like, I can't believe how woke they're ruining woke. And it's like, I mean, not that it's a surprise.
1, not Superman. 2, not gay.
Well, I mean, so slight correction. He is Superman.
Oh, no?
He goes by Superman.
Okay.
And
But it's
this
not
was also at
Clark
a time
Kent
when
Superman.
But he's Superman.
Sure.
But also, to your point, what's the thing they always come back with? Why are you forcing it on characters that already exist? Make a new character. It's like, we did.
Yeah.
And they go, he wasn't gay before now. And it's like, he was a child.
Yeah.
Now we're
coming out.
exploring it.
Yeah.
But it's so transparent that it has nothing to do with the things they say. It's just hate. It's just bigotry.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's bullshit. So, I mean, God.
Yeah, I can't
Is there
think of
more
anything
dog
else.
whistly stuff than that? Who knows? I seem to recall there being a decent amount of stuff about Iceman in Marvel.
I mean,
When that was happening, I seem to recall that being at least an online conversation. I don't know if it made it to like mainstream media the way that the
it's less of a
Superman
known
wanted,
character.
but I certainly remember in like
that book
like the online communities, I remember the Iceman thing being like a thing that people were like.
That is one of the best written like queer stories period in comic books.
I haven't read it, so someone can correct me, but I seem to recall that people were like, it was like there was like a time displaced young Iceman who came out as gay or whatever, and then later the prime Iceman was like, yeah, I am, and they were like, what? And that was like the people that do that stuff were doing that, and it's like, well, what do you like? It's the same character, man.
Yeah.
Like in the way that like it started with like Earth 2 Alan Scott is gay, and then as soon as the Justice Society came back, DC made the right choice to be like, the main Alan Scott's gay.
Yeah.
There, solved it for you. You know what I mean? So,
yeah.
At any rate, yeah. I mean, I would say the Superman. Chris is probably right. Probably among the most kind of like needlessly tread characters for that. Yeah,
absolutely. All right, let's leave Twitter and head on over to Instagram.
Oh fuck! Now we're going to Instagram. Fuck you, hardware store. I'm a man. I mean, like, even listen to that. What am I perpetuating? We're caught in a cycle of hate.
Yeah, and you're just playing into it.
And I'm part of it. We're all just cogs in the machine.
Yeah.
Tonight it starts with Home Hardware. Tomorrow we burn down the world.
Next,
this is my manifesto.
Washington.
No, Siri, stop calling 911. No, God.
All right, first question comes from Dem Jankies, who asks, when did Harley and Ivy become a thing? I know they were friendly on the show, but when did they become roommates?
Right. So Harley joins the animated series in whatever year that is, 92, 93.
Yeah.
And there are some episodes with her and Ivy as kind of like...
flirty?
Well, looking back, you could read into it.
Sure, yeah.
Who knows? It might have been even the intention, but just as kind of like girlfriends, you know?
Yeah.
We'll have a slumber party, like that kind of like thing. There's a great episode where they kidnap Bruce Wayne and go on a shopping spree. Like Poison Ivy uses her like mind control stuff, and they kidnap Bruce Wayne and go on a shopping spree through.
Yes,
through
we've
Gotham.
talked
That's
about
a cute
this.
one.
Yeah.
The Gotham City Sirens series, when Harley was finally introduced to like mainline continuity in comics, that Gotham City Sirens series saw Catwoman, Harley, and Ivy living together in Gotham and getting more interpersonal relationships develop and things like that.
Yeah.
Harley leaves the Joker finally. In the New 52, she's already split from him. That's when she joins Suicide Squad.
Yep.
All these kind of things that further and further separate Harley from just being
Joker's
Joker's girlfriend or whatever. Yeah. I think formally their relationship was acknowledged in 2015. But I seem to recall, and someone can correct me, a lot of hedging. Like, there was a thing where they were like, well, they're romantic. I wouldn't call them girlfriends.
Sure.
They're not exclusive, but I wouldn't call them girlfriends, but they, there was all this kind of shit.
They're two
of
girls together in the hot way, not in the relationship.
There's kind of there was that kind of shit around it, as I recall. But I think they did finally kind of formalize it around 2015, 2016. And obviously since then, it's they are in a relationship. It happens on the show, on the cartoon. They're in a relationship. It's in the mainline comics. If you're reading Poison Ivy right now, which is a great book that I recommend people read, there's a great kind of couple of issues with Harley in it, and some other issues of Ivy kind of ruminating on her relationship with Harley and what Harley brings to the table. Because what I find interesting is I get why Harley's into Ivy. I mean, what hasn't always been clear is the other way around.
Sure, yeah. But I think the show does a decent job, but
and I think the comic stories that nail it the best is that, ironic though it may be, Harley is what anchors Ivy to humanity.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Harley shows her just enjoying living. Isn't it fun that we're alive? That there's good things in humanity, because that's been a real, that Ivy book right now is really good because Ivy is she has a mission. She's being kind of militant about her thing, but also at the same time, she isn't going full villain. No. They're not reverting her. They're letting her grow as a character who understands that there are complexities in the question of, human civilization versus plant life versus the ecosystem, that sort of thing. And Harley's part of that equation. Is that she's Harley makes me feel calm, centered, grounded. So if she could do that, humanity can't be all that's a piece that she doesn't get from plants. I think there's something kind of fascinating about that relationship. I think it's made both of their characters better. Now, we've seen it a lot more with Harley because she's the one that gets all the solo books and more kind of adventures, even in bigger group things, in whatever it is, in Batman or in Detective Comics during Joker War. We're focused a lot more on Harley than on Ivy while Ivy's going through stuff. And there's all sorts of fallout from Heroes in Crisis and all this kind of shit that's in there. And yet, we finally get this Ivy book, and it's man, that Harley connection is so... It doesn't feel like... The risk was that you'd be writing Harley books, and you'd be and she's in a relationship with Ivy, and Ivy's a side character. And then you'd write the Ivy book, and you go, I don't need Harley.
Yeah.
And that's not true. And I think that's the validation of this is a real solid, good idea relationship. Yeah. Narratively, it's doing something for their characters, because you read that Poison Ivy book, and when Harley is mentioned or comes up or is invoked, you go it just feels natural. It doesn't feel it doesn't feel like you could do this book without that.
Yeah. Also, if you're feeling that in a relationship, you probably shouldn't be in that relationship.
Well, totally. But, sometimes, there's the difference is the weight of history, but, sometimes I even feel that way about Batman. We're told and shown a lot, Bruce and Selina. But then at the same time, it's always
they get out of each other.
And then it's just you're fucking miserable, or you'll sabotage it or whatever. I think Bruce and Selina should be the couple, but even when I back up out of it, it's Selina's doesn't feel like the ever-present part of Batman.
No.
The way that Ivy and Harley kind of have a thing. And I don't know quite where I'm going with this. I don't mean to say that now they don't exist without each other, because that's not true either, but it just fits. It works. Yeah. It feels very natural. It feels very complimentary, and it feels like it's the key to the development of their characters. Ivy is not the full period stop villain. Harley is not the Joker's girlfriend, full period stop villain. They're sometimes on the side of the angels. They sometimes cause mayhem. There's this, there's that. They're very interesting, kind of roguish characters now,
Totally.
you know?
Yeah. Next question from That D the Geek, who asks, I like John and Jay's relationship because of the parallels it draws to the relationship between Clark and Lois. Are there any other relationships that you know of that are similar? Like John has his Lois. Does Damien have his Selena? That sort of thing?
I don't feel confident in saying Damien's had like a great romantic pairing. You can make the argument for Flatline a little bit in those kind of recent, like the Robin book and stuff like that. But they haven't really gone into that. You know, they'll kiss one issue and the next issue they're just like, well, whatever. Like, you know what I mean? Like, John and Jay have like a real relationship. Jay has met Clark and like, you know, like you meet the parents, you do like the things and stuff like that. Like they have a real, it feels very like Midwestern kind of like relationship, you know? The point about Lois is interesting. And I don't know that I mean, it's not that I hadn't thought about it, but it's nice to put it in that framework, you know. Lois works... John and Jay are both like responses to an older generation.
Yeah.
The way Superman saves the world and what he's willing to do is different from John.
Yeah.
Superman has a lot of these like, we guide them, they do it. And John believes in setting a good example in that, but John was also like, I'm gonna go to Gamora and fuck up a dictator. you know, like not in a I mean, he's learning, so it's vaguely irresponsible, but no, what I mean is he's not in a war in Iraq kind of way.
Sure, yeah.
But like John is like, no, we can do more. Like we could be more active in making change and helping people and making things better.
Earth's bringing freedom to Gamora.
You know, like Superman kind of has a little bit more like I'm not sure.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He's a little more reticent to like go into a foreign country and like, you know.
Yeah, get involved.
He's done it, but things
are so complex.
That makes him a little touchy.
Yeah,
John is a little less like that. He's a response to this kind of centrism of an older generation, if I can use that. Similarly, Lois works for what could not be more mainstream in terms of media. A like long-standing kind of like heritage newspaper in the States, the oldest form of news, the newspaper, right? And so she works on these, you know, there's still applicable principles of journalistic integrity and things like that. And truly, the Daily Planet is one of the last bastions of like real journalistic integrity. Lois is a key steward of that, but she still represents like an old order. We cannot put a thing to print until we have all of the things, because we could get sued, people could lose jobs.
Yeah.
She has responsibilities. Jay operating the truth online in this kind of like anonymous sort of thing, just be like, as soon as we find a thing, it doesn't matter how we got it, but like we've got this thing, it can go out. Now, they're still learning stuff from the older generation about there is a line of responsibility that you like, an accountability you still have to live up to, so that you're not just causing mayhem. But they have different approaches, and it's partly technological, and it's partly this, you know, think of how like boomers have failed us with inaction, or how Gen X or even us have failed ourselves with inaction. And Gen Z is like, burn it the fuck down. That is represented in the comics. So it's really interesting to draw the parallel between Clark and Lois and John and Jay, because they both do that to a degree.
Yep.
They're not as revolutionary as I'm making them seem, but compared to Clark and Lois, they kind of are. And in a way, I actually think that that's inspired Clark. You know, he goes to Warworld and just fucks up their entire like society and political system. Like these people are like, but all we can be our slaves. And he's like, no. And they're like, hang on.
I mean, yeah,
you know, like,
it's not a drastic, like he's not taking a hard swing. It's like basically going to Nazi planet, but
totally. But like for a guy who on Earth would be like, well, that country is that country. I can control their laws. He just goes to another planet. And he's like, fuck you, Mongol. And he like completely upends their belief systems. They're like, you know, like, I think that's the influence of John on Clark, which
that's interesting.
Which I think is kind of interesting and cool and fun.
So is there any other like hero like kids or sidekicks or anything like that have like parallels to like the big characters? Like anything similar to that?
Maybe not quite as
like mirror
as mirrory as that
sure
is. You know, because
they're a Mira version.
Again, if we're talking about Damien, just because it came up in the question, I think it's pretty obvious that like it almost, by his nature, it almost necessitates that someone with a bit of a darker edge would be someone he'd be into.
Sure.
Which is totally Bruce's thing too. Like, we're not spending time with Silver St. Cloud.
Sure,
you know what I mean?
It's
always like, it's Selena, it's Talia. It's it's always like, they're no good for you. He's like, I know,
but he's not with somebody
they're so hot, Alfred.
Is he with somebody that does crime in like a different way or something?
I mean, Flatline, who was like a sidekick to Lord Deathman and stuff like that. You know, like technically a good, like Selena, technically a good person, but you know, has this kind of like past and complicated relationship to justice and things like that. You can make a reasonable argument there, but I wouldn't say that there's like a real solid relationship anywhere. But certainly Damien, almost by definition, must have essentially Bruce's type.
Sure. Yeah.
You know, like,
I get it.
I think that's kind of part of it. Offhand, not that I can think of.
Yeah.
You know, it's interesting because some of the other ones, their kids just, they kind of carve their own paths. You know, I'm thinking of like Ollie and Dinah, a very kind of like sexy couple.
Yeah.
Ollie's son, Connor Hawk, is asexual.
Oh,
one of very few out asexual characters in DC.
That's awesome.
So the second Green Arrow there, he's doing his own thing.
Nice.
Which is really cool. But like couldn't be more different from Ollie. You know what I mean? Like
truly, yeah.
Ollie who would like fuck his way through terrorists, just like and stuff like that. Like,
I like that.
Yeah. So, you know, there's a kind of reverse thing where Todd Rice, Obsidian, has been out and gay for a long time.
We're gonna fuck up some Rice.
We're gonna fuck up Todd Rice. But his dad, Alan Scott, in continuity, has only relatively recently fully come out, really owning his identity. So we've had a couple of moments through that Infinite Frontier book and stuff like that where Todd is kind of like, so, like, are you dating? Like, Todd kind of has like the sort of like elder vibe because he's like, now that I know this about you, I want to know more about like who you dating, who you see. But like, Alan is kind of just like, he's had relationships and stuff like that in the intervening time, but like in terms of being conversational about it or being open about it, like he's being guided by his son, which is kind of
that's cool.
Which is sort of cool.
Yeah.
I kind of like the vibe of that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean that's
All right. Well, let's leave Instagram and head on over to the Doc Scored. Something that isn't Cuff It.
Hang on.
Doc Scored.
Hang on.
I'm hanging on.
Hang on.
I'm on the edge. Yep.
Honey, why you doxing me?
So scored.
It's really hard to score right, docs.
My doxing,
the next scored.
Sometimes
I wish Doc scored you.
I feel like you must have done that already, but
I guess we never really scored, docs. It's really good to docs you scored. Docs and then scored and scored some ducks.
Like the lips of a duck scored. Saying my name sounds so scored.
And I never want a duck scored. Bye.
It's hard to be dark scored
with the darks of a dark score.
Fuck yeah.
Nice.
We're so good.
Hell yeah.
All right.
Sorry, that just made me think of it. I'm such a Jarl Rock head. Somewhat, the question of the day on the Dark Scored was like, what's your favorite fictional band? And I picked the rival band from School of Rock.
Oh my God.
No Vacancy. Heal me, I'm hot sick. And then I realized 10 minutes later I could have picked School of Rock.
Yes.
They're also fictional.
Yes.
It's like, fuck.
No.
I was like, no. That was the Jarl in me.
Yes.
The guy with just like
Hungry.
the guy that's only wearing leather sleeves,
Yeah.
the bassist doing like the
serpentine.
it's a good look.
He kind of looks like Sam. Yeah.
Heal me, I'm hot. The frontman of that band in the movie is Adam Pascal, who was Roger on Broadway in Rent.
Oh, sure.
Like very famous Broadway performer.
Oh.
He originated the role of Roger, the iconic role of like in Rent.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Anyway.
Cool.
Heal me, I'm dark scored.
Yeah, you could have used it. First question comes from the Batgirl, who asks, what is your personal opinion on Harley? What do you think the girls are good for each other?
I mean, you couldn't call it Harlivy. You had to pronounce it Harlivy.
Yeah, that's how you would pronounce it.
It's a ship name. It's clearly Harlivy.
Yeah, but then you're just saying Ivy rather than like the ship thing is always like combining them. But if you just, that's like saying Rich Reed.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Thanks, Dad.
I know how to ship.
I'm the cool one.
Yeah, I know how to ship.
Yeah.
I'm good at shipping.
I mean, freight.
I could take a great ship every day.
Not
like you, where you just one big ship every week.
Yeah.
Did you like that ice thing I sent you?
Yeah. Well, I've talked about it, but what do you think about Harley and Ivy as a couple? Because you're not necessarily reading all the comics that they're in, but you watch the show, you know enough about it. What's your take on it?
I think that they are good for each other. I think at the end of the day, that you're right. The humanity that Ivy could really get stuck in sort of like plant life and not realize that like she is not just that. Yeah. I think that there's a lot of valid like worth to that, I think. I think that Harley needs someone to rein her in. Right. Because she's a bit of a loose cannon that's just like point in a direction.
Sure, yeah.
And she needs somebody who to give her a reason to fight, right? Which is, I think, what Ivy does. It's just like she fights for a cause. Right. Whether that's pro-humanity or not, it's not really the point. But like she is fighting for what she believes is good. And theoretically, from a certain point of view.
From a certain point of
view. She is right.
Pamela Eiley. That's a name I haven't heard.
But I think that they are good for each other. I think there's ways to say that maybe like Harley is not as good for Ivy as Ivy is for Harley. Right. But I still think there is value there, and I think that like every crotchety person needs somebody who's going to make them feel happy. Yeah.
I don't know what you mean.
Yeah, I don't know.
You looked at me that way.
Yeah, no reason. You need a bubbly life surrounding you to make you realize that life is worth it.
Certainly sounds close to home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I think they're great together. Yeah. I like them.
And they're fucking hot.
Yeah.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah, as long as they're not like dating, there's just like fucking around.
Yeah, I just want to know that they're roommates.
Yeah. Who like occasionally would like be down. All right, next question comes from Only Just Dan again, who asks, how far could King Shark and Constantine really go?
Oh, yeah. This is from the animated movies.
Could it end in any other way but eternal happiness?
I'm pretty sure this is from the animated movies. Like that last continuity.
Oh, sure.
That was sort of like New 52 inspired a little bit.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure in the last one, in that Apocalypse War, the like real like carnage wrecking kind of movie in that continuity, they say something that implies or states that Constantine and King Shark have hooked up or were a thing or something like that.
Sure. Wouldn't have expected it, but
I think if it's going to happen with anyone, it's going to happen with someone magic. I think magic almost certainly has to be involved.
With King Shark. Or Constantine.
I mean, because King Shark is a shark.
I mean, upstairs.
I mean, but he's enormous.
Yeah, upstairs.
He can only thrust forward, or he'll drown.
Yeah, he needs to keep pumping, or he's gonna die.
Yeah. Jesus, good Lord. Yeah. I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm not sure the mechanics work.
Yeah.
Either way.
Hey, look, sex is a lot of different things.
But as like, I also can't remember if they were saying that it was just that they hooked up or that they were like a thing. I am all for poor King Shark having some sort of actual. I'm also thinking of like
boyfriend.
I'm thinking of the movie King Shark, who's different from the like, you know what I mean? It's different from the comics and stuff. But the movie one, you just be like, oh, love,
yeah, boyfriend,
yeah. Hand,
yeah.
Oh, that was before
dick.
Fake mustache. Yeah, I mean, I like the idea of King Shark having like some romance. They even did a thing with that. It wasn't like a queer relationship, but they did it with in that Batman Assault on Arkham, which was an animated movie set in the universe of the Arkham video games.
Okay.
Heath Corson wrote it.
Hey, our boy.
Past guest. And in that one, King Shark and Killer Frost have like a slight kind of like flirty thing. Not like sexy, but just like a connection.
Sure, yeah.
And it's nice, you know? You'd be like, oh, King Shark, you could do it, buddy. Yeah, Constantine and King Shark feels like that was like a night of drinking.
Yes.
And whatever came out of it, whether it was romance or just sex or whatever, it feels like it started with drinking.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's from what I know of Constantine. That's what that feels like.
Next question from Lilith, who asks, how do you feel about the recent Nathaniel Dusk Carver Coleman retcons? Do we know anything about any of Carver's partners?
So, Nathaniel Dusk had his own series in the 80s. He was like a gumshoe, like a detective, like a 40s kind of pulp. He was a dick, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And so he had this series or whatever. But Nathaniel Dusk was the character. I think the book was called Nathaniel Dusk. It was just its own kind of gumshoe story.
Sure.
In Doomsday Clock, we keep getting these sort of flashes of a guy named Carver Coleman, who's an actor, who is deeply closeted because it's like the 40s or 50s. Mm-hmm. And he is the actor that eventually portrays Nathaniel Dusk in movies in the DC universe.
Okay.
So that's kind of a retcon, is that Nathaniel Dusk, instead of just being a guy out there, is a fictional character played by Carver Coleman. Mm-hmm. In Doomsday Clock, Dr. Manhattan uses Coleman to kind of like key into the DC universe. He like checks in with him every once. Like they kind of do like the Sandman thing of like meet back here in a few years, and they keep checking in. He'll give Coleman like a vision of the future or whatever.
Keep checking a few years. If you're single and I'm single, maybe these two crazy kids.
Yeah, maybe we could get together.
Yeah.
He eventually, Dr. Manhattan, through his manipulations of the DC universe and stuff like that or whatever, Carver Coleman eventually gets some success. He lands this Nathaniel Dusk role. He has to hide that he's gay. It comes out, it might even be like his mom or like a family member or something, like starts blackmailing him because this movie is going to be huge, and before it premieres they're like making him pay all this money. He decides he's going to confront, and he ends up dead.
Wow. The
family member, whoever it is, mom, sister, whatever, kills him with like an award he had won, and he's dead. And then eventually when Dr. Manhattan sets things right, he sort of fixes things. He he gives Coleman this sort of advice that makes Coleman just come out. So that he doesn't die. He's blacklisted from Hollywood for a bit, but then he kind of like comes back in his late career as a sort of like, he has a bit of a career resurgence. He becomes an advocate. He does these kind of things, which is kind of neat and interesting. But yeah, I mean, I don't know that I can recall names of the relationships, but they certainly imply in the book that he's had gay relationships or just, hookups or whatever. Like, you know, he was living the double life, though. He had to hide it. He wasn't just like living with some, you know what I mean? Like he wasn't doing any of that.
Yeah.
But it's kind of interesting. It's not necessarily a thread of Doomsday Clock I remember of all of them, but it is an interesting little narrative piece. And that idea of like, that's kind of partly how Manhattan tethers himself to this new universe and kind of learns about how he's adjusting stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Next question from Travis CNZ, who asks,
CNZ.
That just sounds so fucking clunky.
Doesn't really matter how it sounds. It's just right.
Not depending on where they're from.
Well, he's from New Zealand, so it's also said. The only place on the planet that says Z is America. It
just sounds better.
It doesn't. It actually sounds worse.
It sounds
uneducated.
Z is
yeah. Z.
Oh, God, I fucking hate it. All right. Travis asks, in the past couple of years, DC has made headlines by having John Kent and Tim Drake come out as bisexual. And each have a male character as their current partners. However, both Jay and Bernard are typically drawn as not being very traditionally masculine. No facial hair or body hair, very lean, no pronounced chins or Adam's apples, etc. Do you think DC is dedicated to using these characters to represent male bisexuality, or are they trying to have their cake and eat it too by calling them bisexual, but having their partners appear more androgynous?
I understand the spirit of the question. I think you'd be hard pressed to make the case that that's DC having their quote cake and eating it too. Like anyone's reading that and being like, I thought that was a woman.
Well, at least it kind of looks like a
when
chick.
The whole books are like about, like at least in the sort of the setting up of these like more recent status quos, it's like the books are like about the queerness. They talk about coming out. They talk about like I don't think you're fooling anyone. But I do think that there is an interesting point in there is a certain lack of diversity of body type, which is just a comic book thing too, right? Like how many like blonde stacked superheroes are there? Or you know what I mean? Or like leather wearing, whatever. Like there's of any sexuality. I think there is that sort of comic book thing of they've maybe not intentionally, but they've kind of like locked into like a visual code.
Well, I think
that is portraying these things. I think it would be equally interesting to see Tim with like a big fucking hairy beast. You know what I mean? Not like a real beast, but you know what I mean? Like a bear.
No.
But there's not. But you're right that we're not necessarily getting all of that. You could point to other things, though, like Apollo and Midnighter, and like there's other characters out there that have like Catman is more of a kind of brawny dude. Like there's other characters of different sexualities out there that have those things, but it isn't. It is interesting. There's only two examples there, so I'm not sure it qualifies as a pattern, but there is an interesting observation there about like how the bisexuality is portrayed, where they're kind of saying like, well, they're into them because they're also like women, and that's what bisexuality is.
And I think,
I don't think that's anyone's intention, but it could, if that pattern is not adjusted, be problematic.
My guess is that it's because it's John Kent's and Tim Drake's book. And I think that probably the undercurrent there is like they need to look like the hero and their partner needs to look like their partner. And I think like it's just heteronormative like mindsets of like, well, the man and that it's like even if it's a man, like that one's like that's their partner, they're the chick. Like I think that's potentially the problem is that it's like their book, and so they need to look like the bigger hero type person.
I know what you're saying. The interesting thing though is with the Tim Drake book that like that book is largely about Tim's insecurities. He's not like even the heroing is sort of like tangential.
Yeah.
Like it's very like Tim is in the kind of like I don't want to say sub because that's like the wrong dynamic, but he's in kind of more of that position. Bernard is kind of the one that sort of has to stand up to bigoted parents, has to kind of has to own the relationship and stuff like that. And Tim is like, this is all brand new to me, blah, blah, blah. Like there's you know what I mean?
I do
so
wonder.
Maybe that's interesting in that case that then we're not, futzing with the look of people. I mean, I'm obviously unqualified to weigh in too deeply on this, but I think it is an interesting observation.
I think there's probably some subconscious intentionality behind it. I just don't know. Like, it doesn't feel intentional to me. It feels like a thing that's just happening because of either like underlying like homophobia that might be there, or could be like just like trying to come across as bisexual by trying to incorporate multiple things. Could be it could be it's like the person whose book it is needs to look like more like a big strong person. I don't know, but
I mean I don't think any of the things you're saying aren't part of it.
Yeah.
The only thing I'll say is I would be shocked if there was much intention behind any.
Yeah, that's.
I do think there are these kind of like late. Yeah. No, I know you're saying that too. I think it's all just like that latent stuff that you're talking about of like, it's interesting. It would be. Yeah, it would be neat
to see how this pattern works out. Like what happens with other characters.
You know what would be great is like, I know Clark's not bisexual, but just in terms of different type, it would be like you put Clark and Bibbo Bibowski together. Like that.
Yeah.
Like Bibbo's another kind of big, hey, Soups, it's me, blah, blah, blah. But like if they were in a romance, like that is like basically the opposite thing of what's being described in the question. Yeah. At some point, I'd love to see it.
Yeah, I bought you some flowers.
You see like a kind of like a small nimble character like Tim Drake or John
that'd be cool,
or whoever, and then a kind of big brawling, like a big kaleidoscope of types of people and things
love
like that.
All right, next question from Which Devil Sorcerer, who asks, "What's up with you and Richard?" It's a classic will they, won't they.
I mean, I guess. It's more like a won't they.
It's more of like a they won't they.
It's we obviously haven't already, won't they.
Yeah. It's a they won't they.
Yeah, we won't.
Won't they?
I mean, for so many reasons. I know too much.
I never know enough.
And it's going to stay that way.
Yeah.
Gotta keep the mystery. No, Richard and I it's not our fault that we both just exude sexual energy.
Yeah.
It's not directed at either of us. We can't help it.
Yeah, some overflows. What are we supposed to do?
We just have like an aura.
Yeah. Just wild sexual magnetism.
Yeah. I mean, listen.
Lap it up, babies.
Yeah, when I'm watching porn, I'm thinking about whether or not Richard would enjoy that porn.
Yeah, that's all.
Yeah.
Straight guy stuff.
When I'm watching my third favorite porn star.
Great choice. I wasn't expecting them.
Yeah. And that's the other two.
Oh, yeah. Fucking solid choices.
So there you go, Stump. I sure hope nothing messed up the recording.
I can't imagine what would have. Next question from... I'm just going to go over and actually say a name.
That would be really funny, yeah. A person that's not a porn star. Yeah. Condoleezza Rice. Like, oh.
I want to see that tape. Mullet Overlord asks, do you think Batwoman had a healthier relationship with fellow vigilante Renee Montoya or Metropolis transplant Maggie Sawyer?
probably Maggie.
Mm-hmm.
Because
Jesus Christ.
Do you know what the frustrating thing is? I didn't cough all day today.
That's just when you're
From
here.
8 a.m. to 6 p.m.
Those didn't speak.
I'm
all
choking
day.
on your sexual magnetism.
I'm sorry.
That's what I call it.
Yeah.
I think it's got to be Kate and Maggie.
Mm-hmm.
I think that felt more stable. Someone outside the life, I think, helps ground it a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
There's something to be said of like a person who knows what it is to have a dual identity. Someone like Renee, the Question, is helpful. But from personal experience, I was an actor, and my most volatile relationship was with an actor.
I bet.
You know,
that's why you fuck producers, stage
management, which is not a pattern that
Nope.
has been identified.
No, not at all. Looking for a woman that can control you from the sidelines.
Yeah. Guess what? Actors. I don't take notes from actors. Put it that way.
When your type is people who push you around to tell you what to do.
Yeah, like you can't both be the like, and I'm going to make it in a relation. Like you got to work together, and like, acting as such an individual pursuit as a career. My personal perspective on it, and this is also, I don't know, is that it's probably got to be Kate and Maggie. Maggie's more level-headed, lives more of a normal life, but is not foreign to the super stuff. She was head of the Metropolis SCU. Like she knows what that stuff is. So like there's common ground and understanding there, but also like she has a foot outside of it, which is important. The other thing is that Kate and Renee are like thrust together by trauma. Like
sure. Kate
gets attacked by the religion of crime. They're like there's all sorts of shit with the crime Bible and with Vandal Savage during Final Crisis, and with like everything was like a thing.
Mm-hmm.
It was tumultuous. It was bad. Renee was like personally traumatized. She was outed to the Force by Two-Face.
Mm-hmm.
And then, her partner, Christmas Allen, was killed. And then she has a drinking problem. She like, they were like wreckage in a storm as a relationship goes. Whereas I think Kate and Maggie were more of like an intentional kind of measured, God, we both know what we're getting into sort of thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's fair. All right. Next question from Yo Crow, who asks, mushroom tip to your head.
Ooh.
Between Swamp Thing, Etrigan, and Spectre, which sexy supernatural character is dicking you down?
Jesus. Aggressive question.
Yeah.
I think that Etrigan is sexy.
No.
He's big and muscly, but I don't think Etrigan is sexy. And if I'm being honest with you, nothing would turn me off more than poetry.
It isn't me that's phoning. Maybe you it wants the boning.
Yeah. While at the pond I feed the ducks. Get ready now. Here come the fucks.
Don't sit there and merely wallow. Take me on and you will swallow.
Here come the fucks. I'm using that.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, so I think Etrigan's out.
Yeah.
Listen, there's a relatively sexy Swamp Thing sex scene in Return of Swamp Thing, the Wes Craven movie from the 70s or the 80s or whatever. But that's more of like a eat this hallucinogenic plant sort of transcendental thing. But also
happened on the show too.
Swamp Thing possessed Constantine to have sex with Abby Arcane, like ghost style.
Oh wow.
And that's where like Tefe Holland comes from.
Wow.
Sort of like all of their child.
Oh.
I mean, Swamp Thing can get down. And I think in like, it's not just fucking, and it's not just like kaiju tentacle shit. It's like, Swamp Thing, I think, can like get you emotionally.
Mm-hmm.
The Spectre, I don't know that I want God's wrath in the bedroom. Well, actually, I'm saying it.
I'm like, oh, I'm fucking going there.
Oh, man. It depends on who the host is.
Yeah. The hostess.
See, Crispus Allen feels like too straight-laced, even as the Spectre.
Okay.
You want someone who'd lean. I think you got to go Corrigan, because Corrigan would kind of lean into the Spectre's tendencies a little bit. Hal was always fighting the Spectre about their mission. I feel like Crispus Allen was kind of doing that too. So it's got to be Jim Corrigan for me to even consider it. But I think I'd go Swamp Thing.
See, I don't want like a yeast infection, so I'm gonna go.
There are lots of plants with no yeast.
It just feels dirty.
Just a big fucking cucumber.
It's just a dirt pile. No, I'm gonna go Spectre.
Really?
Yeah. I want God's wrath.
Jesus.
Yeah. If I'm gonna get dick down, it's gonna fucking. I'm not gonna forget it.
Yeah. I want vengeance. Yeah. I want the night.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Next question from Big Bear, who asks, if you could either create your own OC to ship,
original character,
with a DC character, or ship yourself with someone, who would it be? Ooh. Personally, I'd ship myself with Bane, comics and Dark Knight, because he's a full course meal, and I wouldn't want to fix him. In fact, I bet I could make him even worse.
Whoa.
Big Bear! Gulp!
Wow.
That's hot as hell.
I will be your cock's reckoning. You fuck like a younger man with nothing held back. It is admirable, but foolish.
You merely embraced my ass. I was born with it.
Yeah, obviously.
Molded by it.
And this gives you power over me?
Because that would be nice.
Tell me, do you feel powerful? I don't know, you're sort of selling me on
yeah,
it.
fuck.
Even with the voice.
Okay. There it is.
A cock rises.
Oh, yeah. No, that's good.
Yeah.
It's a good one to go out on.
Yeah.
It's a good one to go out on.
Dicks, asses, asses. All the people in the pit are fucking cheering you on. Dicks, asses.
Nice. Okay. I mean, I know
we're handling this so sensitively.
May
I just say we're doing a great job.
This is better than I thought. I mean, I know who you would want to be shipped with.
Yeah, I mean, it's not a queer relationship.
Yeah, that's not necessarily the question, though.
That's true. I mean, God, Black Canary, Big Barda, Wonder Woman, Power Girl.
Yeah. But if it was a queer relationship.
I mean, Wonder Woman.
If it was a queer relationship.
Well, here's the thing. She's bisexual. That doesn't change even if she's with a man.
Yeah, but that's
a
queer person in a relationship, but not a queer relationship, I would think.
I don't know. That feels problematic. I bet it's still a queer relationship.
I mean, you're not engaging in queer activity.
But they're bisexual. You know, this feels like bi erasure. I'm not saying you're doing it on purpose, but I think this is like the definition of bi erasure.
Yeah, when you point it out like that.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's I'll concede though. That's not pushing me.
Yeah. Fucking loophole. No.
Jesus. That's bi erasure.
That is, yes.
Yeah. I mean, who would I ship me with for like a real relationship?
Yeah.
Oh man, Dick Grayson.
Yeah.
What a nice boy.
Yeah, fucking lucky.
Yeah. I mean, you could do a lot worse than Dick Grayson.
Yeah.
Do you know who's probably... I know I said I don't find Etrigan sexy, but you know who I bet is like a lovely sort of like elder gentleman, you have a nice dinner together? It's Jason Blood. He's been around a long time. He probably just wants to watch his stories.
Sure.
Maybe that's like a nice kind of like... in your twilight years, like me and Jason Blood go out and sit on the dock. Yeah, I don't think I have an original character I would throw into the mix.
No.
What about you?
Clayface.
Oh, it could be anyone.
Yeah.
Fuck, you're so fucking good at this. Or Martian Manhunter.
Yeah, sure.
For a lot of the same reasons that you keep bringing Martian Manhunter up. Like how do you take like the psychic emotional connection and then manifest physically? Like it's
hot as hell.
That's where it's at.
Fuck yeah.
That's like the Swamp Thing of like the transcendental, like connecting on every level kind of thing.
Yeah.
Well, shit. Yeah, I guess.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, fucking take me higher. You can take me higher. All right, next question from Crimson Raven, who asks, what characters were explicitly queer from the time they were first introduced rather than them coming out later? Ooh. Or were there characters that it was implied but never officially stated that they were queer when they were first introduced? I mean, we were talking about that, I think, in the last episode even, and there's not much that was like queer coded and things like that.
Listen, the characters we talked about on the Doom Patrol.
Yeah.
You know, Kate Godwin, Coagula.
Sure.
Rebus, you know, like from their inception, they were by definition of a different sexual orientation or gender identity. Mm-hmm. Like they, right from the get-go. That also applies, I think, to Casey Brink. It applies to Danny. It applies to, you know, there's quite a number on the Doom Patrol, obviously. It applies to Kate Kane, Batwoman, from the get-go. When she was introduced in the mid-2000s, lesbian.
Yep.
The whole time. There's this more ambiguous question of, like, the John Kent thing. We talked about how John Kent got all dog whistly.
Yeah.
But really it was like, John was a child. So, you know, even if there was the odd kind of like, you like her or whatever.
Yes.
I mean, John came out later as an adult, as bisexual. So it doesn't undo those things. Here's the thing. We weren't explicitly shown, but he was also a child. When John was an adult, we get, like I said, like 3 issues of him being like, maybe Saturn Girl? And then we get an actual relationship with Jay Nakamura. I would make the argument that counts.
Yeah.
That essentially from the moment we would know, we did. You know, like I'd make the argument for that.
Yeah.
I think. I mean, there's obvious you know, there's characters like Dreamer, Galaxy. There's like there's characters who are created by queer creators who are clear like queer characters, you know, Bunker in the New 52, who I mentioned maybe last week. There are characters who are created, who are queer the whole time. Boom. But, yeah, I'm obviously missing a bunch. I feel like Sin maybe was, like the sort of like street child that Black Canary had.
Oh, okay.
Sin maybe was. The Connor Hawk thing is interesting. Because despite a sort of creator kind of like a creator in the 90s kind of going like, no, there's not like, I think there's actually like a decent amount of comic evidence to support Connor being asexual.
Okay.
And then they just confirmed, like, this is the other thing. Like, was it the intention at the time? Almost certainly not. So if that's your definition for it, then no, Connor doesn't count. But like, is it like a big shock?
Yeah, sure. Not really.
Not overly, you know? I mean, there must be tons more. But, I mean, essentially, if it's a queer character that wasn't in a comic before 2007, odds on bet is that they were queer from the get-go.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
That's that's my general, I'd say, take on it.
Love that.
Yeah.
Okay, last question. From JK, who asks, I don't know about you guys, but I think it's way past time to have Wonder Woman date a lady already.
Totally agree.
Who in the DCU would you set Diana up with?
Huh. I mean,
here's the other question. Are we talking about people that we're going to find out that they are maybe like queer, or are we talking about only people who are currently out?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I guess you could pitch either way.
Yeah.
I've got a pitch right off the bat.
Tell me.
And it's just based on how their relationship has grown over time and the fact that they are currently generally working together.
Sure.
Cheetah.
Oh, interesting.
And I think her and Barbara Minerva. More than with Etta Candy, who is, I believe, queer.
Yeah.
But more than with a bunch of other sort of supporting Wonder Woman characters. Like, the ultimate sort of redemption of Cheetah has kind of already mostly happened. Diana more or less trusts her.
Mm-hmm.
They work together. They were fighting gods together. You know, there's still kind of an animosity. I think it's Diana and Barbara.
There you go.
I'm going with that.
Nice.
That's my pitch.
I'm gonna go.
Excuse me.
Star Sapphire.
Sorry, Star Sapphire.
Gem World. Yes.
Okay, so right from Zamaron.
Yes.
Like Carol Ferris or just a Star Sapphire?
Carol Ferris.
Interesting. I think that's a move for Carol. I don't think, unless someone corrects me, I don't think Carol's had any previous kind of queer.
Yeah, I think definitely.
Stories.
Yeah. This is more of me sort of writing a story, but
sure. I mean, Diana has a connection to the Star Sapphires.
Well, and that's sort of where I was thinking of, and I think like that's an interesting connection and like something I'd love to explore more. And then like these two big legacies and like, yeah.
I mean, God, I would give Carol more page time than she's had in
yes.
like a decade.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
I think it'd be interesting, right?
Yeah.
But like, Gemworld's something that I want more of, and like,
well, it's different from Gemworld.
Sorry, yes, but
it's Zamaron.
Sorry, whatever.
I'm really sorry, guys. I thought he was better than this.
Remember the quiz I did? Remember how good I did?
I would love to remember that, and not this.
I told you we were not bringing this onto the mics.
Oh, I'm bringing this onto the mics.
Let's have a separate conversation.
Oh, okay. Yes, unrecorded.
Yeah.
Why bother?
In the bedroom.
Hey, what is up with me and you?
Is this happening?
Is this happening?
Is this?
Wait that is the most conspicuous part of this. You just trailed off and I didn't respond. It's never felt more unclear.
We would love to hear from you residents. If you want to send in a question for next week's episode.
So here's a funny thing.
Uh-huh.
May has a 31st.
Oh.
Which actually means there's 2 more weeks, which is more than I anticipated.
Sure.
So I'm going to do a hitherto unheard of thing.
Oh, no.
Next week, we're going to do an episode on what was voted on by our Golden Age patrons. Mm-hmm. They voted for an episode on the kind of like parallel versions of the new Aquaman. Former Aqualad, new Aquaman. Jackson Hyde from the comics, Calderon from Young Justice. Both of whom queer characters who started as who are sons of Black Manta, who started as sidekicks and then became Aquaman, inherited the title. So that's next week. That was voted on by the Golden Age patrons.
The week after.
I'm gonna just pick one of the ones that lost for the week after
that
and do that, baby.
I mean, you could do that anyways, because
I do want to take this moment though too to say that I realize that June is right around the corner.
That's
June,
right.
of course, is Fanagar.
That's right.
So I've been putting together the 2023 Fanagar Tournament of Pandering.
Yes.
This year is going to be slightly different in 2 ways.
Okay.
Way number 1, bracket style.
Whoa.
So there's going to be 4 regions sending different competitors to the tournament.
We go.
Plus, it'll be a double elimination thing. So the Patreon side of it will be the double elimination side.
Sure.
So that's thing number 1, is that it's going to be bracket style.
Look at that.
Thing number 2 is that all the things you'll be voting for are stories. Are arcs or stories.
Not like characters or...
And it's not that we'll do an episode only about that story, but it's that we'll read that story and then we'll do an episode broadly about that character or those characters or that type of thing. So that's coming in Fanagar.
Wow, that's exciting.
Plus, of course, we're going to have another fight night.
Yeah.
That'll be coming up. And some other
I can bail. Alex will show up.
We'll have our mini episodes in the week with the annual. There'll be the annual. I'll test Richard again. He'll disappoint me.
Oh yeah.
Whoops. All sorts of fun stuff. But that's right around the corner. So yeah.
Remember last year I did real good.
We'll see.
Oh no.
We'll see.
Oh no.
I swear to God, if you coupon me on the annual.
You can't bring it up. That's not, you're gonna ruin it.
Yeah, exactly. Now you can't, because now it's an idea you didn't have. Suck it. Fuck.
Oh, all right.
Oh. Ooh.
Well, send in your questions for all of that stuff. Also, you can do so on our various social media platforms like our Facebook,
Dr. DC Podcast,
Twitter,
at Dr. DC,
Instagram,
Dr. DC Podcast,
our email,
drdcpodcast@gmail.com,
our subreddit,
r/Dr_DC.
The doc phone is always open.
208-917-3238.
It's 208-917-DCEU.
If you're nasty.
We are on TikTok.
At Dr. DC.
Follow us and then message us, and then maybe we'll send you stuff that'll make you come.
Yeah, that's what Richard and I do with that. What a creepy, pervy thing this. Ugh. Oh, man.
Go to our website.
I don't feel good about it. drdcpodcast.com or .ca.
Give us a 5-star review on whatever platform you listen to the podcast. If it's on an Apple Podcast or Facebook, make sure that you take a screenshot and send that over through email. You also can subscribe to our Patreon. This is where you can do all of the different levels. Yeah.
Fuck you. Patreon.com/DrDC. There's a $1, $5, and $7 level. All of them give you access to the Discord, our awesome Discord fan community.
Mm-hmm.
At the $5 level, you get our weekly bonus episode, the Double Dose. Mm-hmm. And at the higher level, you get theme pools. And there's a whole series, Toretto Talks, me and my sister rewatching the Fast and Furious movies in anticipation of Fast X.
You're getting a second season, baby.
We're getting a second season because not only is there going to be Fast X this year, which we will watch and then do an episode on in a few weeks. In a couple of years, we're getting Fast X Part 2.
And
we'll be back for a second season for that. We'll probably watch Los Bandoleros. We might watch that movie that Sung Kang is in, that Justin Lin directed.
Sure.
That is essentially also part of it. We might watch Torque or something in the lead up to Fast X Part 2. But the announcement just came down from the top. Fast X is now a trilogy.
That's right.
So when Fast X Part 3 comes around,
Insane.
There'll be a third season of Toretto Talks. Now, we're talking down the line there. I'm also prepping what the next kind of Golden Age series.
Yeah, you guys could watch and then just watch stuff that's related, like Crank.
I mean, there's possibilities.
Yes, possibilities are endless.
I've considered it. Yeah, I haven't 100% settled on it, but I feel like the next series, as long as I could secure a co-host, will be Star Trek movies.
Oh.
There's 13 of them.
Is there maybe a specific co-host you're thinking?
I don't know. Maybe if one would make some fucking time.
Oh, me? Oh. Well, I don't know. I got time.
I miss you, man.
Oh, my God. I thought you were talking about Dave or something.
I mean, possibly, but...
That'd be a great fucking host.
Yeah.
Way better than me.
It was fun. Oh, my.
Subscribe to Ghostfacers, the Supernatural Rewatch podcast. Every single week we go through an episode in series.
Jesus.
Don't do this part. You died.
Everything we go episode in series. Jesus.
Yeah, go fucking build a shed.
You're an award-winning podcaster.
Go put a fucking roof on.
I will once my friend gets the plywood.
Yeah, what could you do that?
No, it doesn't fit in my car.
Your big meanies there.
I briefly considered just eating the $140 I paid for the plywood
and not bringing it back,
leaving it outside. I was like, I can't go in. I can't return. This.
I would have had a hard time with that.
I thought about it.
Yeah, I would have just left my trunk open and driven with it.
I mean, if I could get it in, it wasn't a matter of I couldn't close the trunk. I got bungee cords. I got I got rope. I could figure that shit out. I just
too wide.
It would get in just the tip.
Just for a second.
And then I couldn't jam it in further.
You try spitting on it?
I did. I took the plywood and I went up and down over the back of the trunk a bunch of times. That didn't help.
Oh, man, I'm awesome. I'm out of ideas.
Yeah.
Did you try going through the?
I told a bunch of people not to look at me while I was trying to do it.
Did you try going through the front door instead?
Yeah, that didn't work. Yeah. I tried flipping the car over to see if it was like an angle thing, but no.
Ghost Facers.
A Supernatural rewatch podcast. We're going through every single episode of the CW Supernatural. We're partway through season 7 right now. We talk real world monster lore, behind the scenes stuff about the show. It's a really fun time. That's how you do it. Remember, we're talking about queer content and we're fighting a lot.
Ciao, ciao.
Adios.
Heroes, they always fight for what is right. Live with danger and adventure, they are men of might.
This was a Brain Freeze podcast.